whole commercial if you feel like it. Whatever you like, bro.
On the fly, on the fly, on the fly. Here
Fly
we
by.
go. Here
Fly
we
by.
go, my guy. As we
Here we
fly
go.
on
What
by.
is this? What is this show called? Where we at?
Man, we are the Pro and Joe podcast.
There we
I'm
go.
Jesse Alley. This is Doug Worthington with me.
Yes,
he
it
is
is.
our Pro. I am the Joe.
And that depends on what you're referring to, because I'm the pro when it comes down to some good old athletes and some sports. But you are the pro when it comes down to making this happen, this ground sound
man.
equipment,
Hey,
and getting this streaming service going.
I appreciate Ground Sound just letting me be able to come here and
Flourish.
be able to do some stuff like this, man. Flourish and really just be able to, work on my craft, my skills,
said,
and
your craft.
get at it.
Get
This
crafty.
is just fun for me.
It is fun.
Sitting down talking to you, man, every week. This is a blast.
Yeah,
We're just.
well said.
Think
So-
about it. We're
so-
sitting here talking about Buckeye football.
Buckeye
man.
football. So we're the beat writers of the
Yes.
Buckeyes. We
Yeah.
we do a little bit of Buckeye talking. I was fortunate to play for the Buckeyes, and I'll be honest with you. I'm still salty off the fact that we're coming off a loss, first time ever losing to Oregon. I think that was one of our
1-9
biggest.
now.
1 and
9
9.
or 9-1
1
is
and
what we
9.
should say.
And again, hats off to the Oregon Ducks. We're going to definitely discuss that. That'll probably be somewhat of the meat of the conversation. Going into a Tulsa game, which shouldn't pose no threats. But, again, who knows?
You never know. You don't want to overlook anybody.
Well said, well said. So, Oregon, we were at the game. You were at the game.
Oh,
I was at the
yeah,
game.
we had it.
Tailgating wasn't what it was, but guess what?
I had a good time.
It
I still
was
had a good time.
697 days since the Buckeyes last got into the shoe, or some crazy astronomical
Yeah.
number. So I was really, really happy with the fact that we were there.
Yeah, it was good just to really, get back in the atmosphere, having fans there. The fun part for me, I feel like, is always going, having a good time watching the Buckeyes play. I went with my mom, so it's always a good
Nice,
time going
Mom.
with family and stuff like that. So shout out to my mom.
Shout out, Mom.
I always like interacting with people around me. You miss that sitting at home, not being able to go to the games.
Right, well
so
said.
yeah, the loss sucks, and like you said, we're pretty salty. We're pretty salty about it. But
We're upset.
I had a good time going.
So how was the shoe atmosphere? Did you tailgate? Did you?
So I tailgate over at 97.1's tailgate.
97.1, that's a plug.
Yep, I got a friend of my mom's who works there. Shout out to Amy Reeves. Shout out to you,
Amy
and
Reeves.
I'll be there tomorrow, guys. So I'll be over
Okay.
there.
So you'll be there. I'm gonna pop up then. If you
Come
gonna
on
be there, I'll be
through.
there.
Come on through, man.
97.1
We'll be
there,
there.
tailgate. I was at the
Bourne.
Bourne Brothers. They got half the city.
Yeah.
They're dumping trash everywhere up in here. So I stopped by the Bourne Brothers, and I seen a bunch of guys. Shout out to my guy CLS Direct. See my guy Scott
yeah.
up there. So
Oh,
yeah,
shout out.
It was nice to have Buckeye football, but again, as I'm rolling into my seat backs, the game didn't do what we needed it to. I know I had a convincing victory of like 56 to like 24 for my prediction, and I was completely off.
I want to say I had a 45-41 Buckeye victory, but off. It was a closer game. I thought it was going to be, but not the way I thought. Not the way I thought.
It was an L.
Yeah.
Let's just get into it. I'm going to start, being a Buckeye myself, actually experiencing a game very much so like that. 2009, I was a captain. We came off a victory against Navy. Then we had the USC Trojans that came in the year before with Denzel Washington on the sideline. They stumped the mud hole in us.
Yeah.
And with that being said, a bunch of different draft picks and a bunch of different people that went on to have illustrious careers in the pros and even in media in ways. You got Ray Malaluga, you had Clay Matthews, you had Taylor Mays, you had rest in peace Joe McKnight.
R.I.P. Joe McKnight. I
yeah.
forgot about him, man. Ugh.
I say all that to say this. I'm going to obviously have my eye on Oregon and hope that they keep that same energy that they brought into the shoe.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of times when we play big teams like that, I don't want to get off too much on my task. They flop the next week. They lose against like a Bumble suck.
They bring all that energy
University,
for us, and then
they just kind of crap the bed. And again, the week before against Fresno State, they didn't look that well. So shout out to Oregon. Keep that same energy. I hope that you're in the top. I hope we almost get to run that back again. Would be nice.
Oh yeah.
But with that being said, we took an L, and I'm going to throw it to you. But I'm definitely upset about my trenches. I'm definitely upset about the defensive line. I seen the scheme that they had to play against, and it was very, very hard to defend that run pass option with the way that they did it. Shout out to Oregon. They attacked the edge, but they made sure the middle had to be covered. If not, obviously you've seen 77
CJ
out the gate.
And freaking Anthony Brown. I felt like they were just running all over us all day. CJ Verdell having that 73 yard
75,
run.
77 out the gate.
Yeah, 77.
No. It was probably 75.
It don't matter. I mean, it don't matter. Good. It was awful to watch.
Right.
Honestly.
With that all being said, man, I definitely, and I want to throw it to you and ask you a question because I want to talk about it. So I want to ask you first, what's going on with the defense? What's going on with the defensive line at Ohio State right now?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, like you said, going against an Anthony Brown and who was a senior, a fifth-year senior, had a bunch of talk with his backup quarterback. I think it's Thompson, who is coming in, supposed to be the guy.
Right.
And Anthony Brown, shout out to you, man. He held his own, 17 to 35 passing. I think he only had 235 passing yards, and I mean, on top of that, he had over 100 yards rushing himself. He had 165 by CJ Verdell.
Put numbers on us.
I mean, like you said, I have to give it to Oregon with everything that they did with that line. I mean, shout out to their offensive line. Their offensive line came out and showed out.
I'm not going to give them too many kudos because I'm still mad at you, Oregon, for ruining my perfect season. But, they did play well. Let's just look at us again in the mirror. We're now ranked 112. I love the Army group 112, but I do not like my defense being ranked 112 in the country.
I mean, the other thing is no turnovers in that entire game, not a single sack.
Yes.
And especially from what we said, I mean, there's a whole new group of linebackers back there, but that defensive line is stacked. That defensive line should be a lot better than what it should be.
Right.
And I'm not gonna fret that. The defensive line was the only problem out there. I definitely think some of it was a little bit of coaching with some of that. I definitely think some of the linebackers and the DBs need to make open tackles better. There were some times that I mean, you saw it last week in Minnesota, with Ibrahim, and he was blowing through 3-4 tackles before he went down.
Yeah,
and then Oregon coming in, having a three-headed monster with their two running backs and Anthony Brown, and they were going to run the ball. And so I think we all knew that going in. That was something that you thought would be addressed, and you would make this quarterback throw the ball. Did not happen. Obviously, it seems like linebackers need to get better at tackling. Defensively, on the pass, I wasn't that upset, but it felt like a lot of it was trying to protect the bigger guys outside with Johnny Johnson and I cannot remember the other wide receiver, but making sure that those two guys don't get loose, making sure the guys up front need to get in there. But I did not see that in the first half. I will say, second half, it was touchdown, punt, touchdown, touchdown, and then punt, punt, punt. So
we got
going into the game, it was only 14-7 at half. So I can't be mad at the defense being 14-7 at half.
Well said.
With everything that was going on and everything that we're going to gripe about today and everybody that's already been griping on them, I'm not mad at the defense in the first half. I'm mad at the offense in the first half. Second half, mainly that third quarter, there was 3 touchdowns given up by Ohio State. That's where I was like, we need to give that up. We cannot have 3 touchdowns in any quarter. Right. Let alone right after halftime when you're down 14-7, which made that, I believe, 30. I think Ohio State scored to make it 21-35 is when after that third quarter, and then going into the fourth, held them, had 2 straight 3-and-outs that we did not get a touchdown on.
That's good.
And so for Ohio State's offense on that second half, that's where I go to the blame for the offense more, just because it felt like C.J. Stroud was being very one receiver. He was looking a lot at Chris Olave, which Chris Olave needed to have a big game.
Of course.
He didn't have any touchdowns, but 12 yards and over 100 yards, or 12 catches and over 100 yards, you're going to take that from your best receiver all day.
Well said.
Even if it's no touchdowns, because then look at Jackson Smith-Njigba, who only had 7 grabs, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 2 big touchdowns, by the way.
Like you said, he definitely was kind of, narrowly focused. And I think you said a couple times about that one check down when he had Maven, coming
There was a check down. He had Maven coming across, and he I'm sorry. And he just didn't look at him. One thing I kind of thought was where was Master Teague? Where was the rushing game? Right. I mean, only 126 yards on the rush.
I guess a Pac-12 school. No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on
after
that.
having, I mean, against Minnesota, now I will say, obviously, Oregon's defense is a lot better than Minnesota's. A lot better.
What's that?
But 123 yards on the rushing.
I couldn't. My thing is, I went back to my old Tressel days. Obviously I'm biased. I love what Urban did for the program. Shout out to Luke Fickell when he had to put it on his back. And Ryan Day has been probably one of the best thus far.
Yeah.
But
awesome recruiter.
When it comes down to when we were in those tight games, sometimes a good defense is actually a good offense. And to tie them all together, when it comes down to special teams, you have to be locked in. So I remember early in the game, the first drive, we get down to around the 20-something, 30, and it's like 3rd and 7. I'm thinking like, hey, let's be smart. We actually hand the ball off, and then we go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
Why don't you kick
2 passes
a 35-yard field goal and get 3 points on the board and get a little momentum? Throw the kickoff out there and let your defense go ahead and get them inside the 20.
Especially with that being, like you said, it's the first drive of the game. Why do we need to go for a 4th and 7? Like you said, it's 3rd and 7, and I get, like you're saying, run the ball. If you're going to go for that, run the ball up, get yourself 3-4 yards, make that a 4th and 3, a 4th and 4, or maybe even a 4th and 2, 4th and 1, or maybe they break it. You never know. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but with that, like you said, I don't agree with the 4th and 7. I think we should have got the points, had a 3-0 lead, and went on.
Momentum.
It got the defense a little bit going.
And my thing that as a defense, all we want to know is just the fact that we have something to defend for.
Oh yeah.
And again, I don't think we played like crap. I don't think we played horrible at times. Oregon is on scholarship too, and coaching and a little bit of physicality. It was almost one of those great punches at the right time. Just like one of those, hey, you got me, and I didn't know how to recover. Like you said, that 3rd quarter, giving up 3 touchdowns was crazy.
That's
and then
big.
Guess what?
That's big.
They shut it down after that.
They did.
14 points.
They did. And
again, enough is enough. When it comes down to Ohio State defense, what we're used to, the biggest thing is what they are capable of. We've seen big 5th-year senior Haskell Garrett go out there and have a way with the day. Go out there, get touchdowns, get interceptions, get sacks, get pressures. Oregon didn't allow us to, have a 3 to 4. It wasn't like no conventional drop back and pass type of offense.
They got the ball out quick.
They got the ball out quick. It was the run. It was the run pass up, and they did it to a T. And the thing about it though, they did it like they didn't show any of these sets the week before. I watched a little bit of that Fresno State, at least for the first half. They didn't show what they showed. So again, I tip my hat, but this is the Ohio State University. One of the biggest things that we're actually battling for, and what's all in the media right now, is the fact that we know how to take these 5-star, 4-star, 3-star athletes and put some real good products on the field. So then we go ahead, and again, as I allude to, being a Tressel guy, we go look at coaching. We go look at what is your thought process. We know that you like points. We know you want the offense to be high power. But we got to make sure that our kicker is good and stretched out. Make sure that he's available when it's come down in the crunch.
That's the graduate transfer from Rutgers from Boston College. I think it's Boston. I believe it's Boston College. And the other thing is behind him, which he is. So he's a graduate transfer. So he's a 5th year. He is 2 guys behind him are a true freshman and a redshirt freshman.
There you go.
So part of that, I kind of feel like we said with the 4th and 7, is that not enough trust in your kicker or any of your kickers? Or is that more? Is that more so your offense?
Yeah, I think honestly he was trying to gear them up. I think we're in the shoe. We all know that we almost 600+ days that we haven't been in the shoe.
Trying to get some momentum, get some energy
wanted
in there.
To have it's the big game. It's 12. Everybody's watching.
100,000
in the shoe with COVID. I mean, wow. But at the end of the day, you play. What did it say? Well, you play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
You play to put the points on the board. You pay to give your defense a real good shot. Now, when you lose, you lose a little bit of field position. A little bit of opportunity on that special teams to maybe get some type of, that's a unique play. You can get a turnover a little bit quicker. You can get a big play to get them inside the 20. A bunch of things can happen when you kick that ball off. Most importantly is putting points on the board. And again, I'm shocked at that. It doesn't allow the defense to get ran down the middle and give up a bunch of big plays, but we got to make sure that we not only keep Kerry Combs in check and kind of give him a little bit of flack, but listen, there's some questionable calls all around that game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think going at that game, there's not one thing you can point to and be like, this is why we lost the game. A lot of people are saying C.J. Stroud throwing that interception. Like I said, C.J. Stroud looking at one receiver the entire time.
Right.
Defense not playing up to par, giving up 35 points, which is not expected at Ohio State, even against a good Oregon team. Hats off to Oregon. They're a lot better of a team. I hope they win out.
Keep the same energy.
I hope they win. They win the Big 12 or Big 10, well, not Pac-12. Jeez.
Pac-12, you there?
I hope they do. I hope we end up seeing them in the playoff. I really do. Because I do want to bring this up. I know that everybody's down right now. We just lost. I mean, it feels like we're done for the year. We're not making the playoff anymore.
I hope they don't feel like
But
that.
Here's the thing. So look at the top four. You got Alabama, you got Georgia, you've got Oklahoma, and Oregon. Obviously, Georgia and Alabama are going to play each other at one point.
They play each other, yeah.
Now, the thing is they don't play each other until the SEC championship. So that could kind of throw some things up, and that's why people are saying there's going to be a lot of SEC two-team talk.
There you
go. But from what I'm looking at, Ohio State's only 9. Now, obviously, you got to look at the rest of the schedule, see what Ohio State has, see what's going on. Just want to say this. Big Ten has only lost 3 non-conference games. So 3 of those non-conference games. So every loss that's in the Big Ten has been to a fellow Big Ten team or these 3 losses. 2 of them being by Illinois.
Okay, Illinois lost twice.
And then the third team, obviously, Ohio State's Oregon.
Lost in Oregon.
So that shows right there the Big Ten's doing what they need to do.
Dominance.
It's 2 weeks in. It's early.
How many? Do you know how many out-of-conference wins we got?
Out-of-conference wins?
Yeah, how many teams
I believe it's – I don't know off the top of my head, but I do believe it's about 14. It's about 14.
That's huge.
And so, I mean, like you said, that's huge in 2 weeks. Huge. You've got then you got to look at the big games of this week. So obviously, big thing. There's 5 Big Ten teams in the top 25 right now. The only other team that has 5, the only other conference that has 5 is the SEC. That's big. Also, 3 of those teams, top 10, 5 Iowa, number 9 Ohio State, and then number 10 Penn State. Same thing. SEC is the only other conference with 3 teams in the top 10.
The Big Ten is real.
So the Big Ten is real. It's definitely good to look at. Like we said, we got a top 10 Penn State team, which if they go and they win out, they had a big win against Wisconsin to start the year. They play Auburn this weekend at home, which, by the way, Auburn has not, for some reason, Auburn has never been up to a Big Ten team's home.
That's amazing.
That's a stat line. I think it's ever. I think it hasn't happened since 1900.
I wish we would have brought them in November.
Oh man, it'd have been completely different. But that whiteout is not going to be different. That whiteout is going to be huge.
It would have hit it home. But you made a great point. Now Ohio State is looking into the future. We're trying to now make sure that we can look at that crystal ball and be able to get into that national championship, aka playoff spot.
Yeah.
Oregon, they did us dirty, but at the end of the day, like I said, keep that same energy. What do you think about the Golden Hurricanes as they come into the shoe on a 3:30 game?
So with the Tulsa game, obviously, like I don't ever want to look over anybody. I don't care who it is. I always say that because of Appalachian State beating that team up north. It was a great game. Loved that game. But you can't look over anybody, FCS or not, or lower non-Power 5 conference team. With Tulsa, I mean, they've got Brent Davis, which all I'm going to say is in 2 games he has
quarterback Brent Davis.
Yes, quarterback for Tulsa.
What's the stat line? Tell them the stat
right
line.
now,
It's
so
amazing.
Total yards is 485 yards. He has 0 touchdowns through 2 games and 2 interceptions.
Okay.
So
not worried, but then again, we talk about what we put on tape, and we're 112.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not trying to say that like we should be we're just gonna go stomp Tulsa in, but at the same time like we need to go get our stuff fixed.
Right.
We need to. I think this is a great tool. You said it earlier. A great tune-up game, a great tool game to really go figure out A, who are we? B, let's see some of the depth. Let's get I want to see this offense get 4 touchdowns to maybe 5 touchdowns in the first half.
Nice.
I want to see C.J. Stroud done by the fourth quarter. I want to see some. I want to see some of these other guys.
Okay.
I don't.
Like, Mullet's he's not on campus still.
He's not. I'm not. I don't want to bring Ewers in. And you want to know the funny thing? That was all I heard. That was all I heard was where's Ewers? Where's Ewers? Where's Ewers?
Of course.
And here's the thing. I'm not a guy that wants Ewers. I'm not saying C.J. Stroud had the worst possible game he could have in his second start of his career at The Ohio State University.
What's that?
You're playing Oregon, which everybody kind of looks at Oregon like this no-name team. I'm like,
no,
Oregon's a solid team.
They're a top 15 program.
They are an underrated team because they're in the Pac-12, and
we don't watch Cali ball.
I'd say watch out. Nobody watches Cali ball. Nobody watches West Coast. It's too late. It's too blah blah blah. But you know what happens? Look what happens. You overlook them. You think you're gonna come out and you're gonna get smacked in the mouth at home like this.
We shipped the ship. We did Titanic ship the bed. So
yeah.
That's a little bit different on our part. With that being said, I am with agreement with you. I know I think in the beginning of the week the spread was like 26.5 points for Ohio State.
Yeah.
It is now
this
went
is the
down
Tulsa,
4
correct?
points. Ohio State versus
wow.
Tulsa.
It went down.
It went down 4 points. It's almost like they kind of revisit the tape and realize that some of the things that we put on tape is really, really bad.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for the good old Golden Tornadoes because Ohio State.
It's a lot of motivation. It's a lot of motivation.
Listen, you would expect if I was Tulsa, I would expect Ohio State coming off a victory with Oregon, being top 3, with their heads in the cloud, thinking they got an easy way. Because our next games is we got Maryland on the schedule. We got Tulsa.
So we play
Akron.
Tulsa this weekend, Akron next week. When we have Rutgers,
and
like Maryland.
It's like a 5-game whatchamacallit. It's like a whatever it is. You should go ahead. You should come out of this stretch top 10 defense. That's when we looked at the grand scheme of things back in you looked at certain. Hey, let's get this Oregon game. We're gonna circle it. Make sure we hold these fast guys down. Make sure that we get the win. Point blank. Period. Then in the next games, we got to make sure we create our identity and put our will out there. So Tulsa is actually, they're coming into the eye of the storm for Ohio State. These guys should be very, very upset. Coach Johnson, the whole coaching staff, Coach Washington, obviously Kerry Combs, everybody's asking for his jobs. I don't think it's fair. But they're asking these guys to now come out here and put their best foot forward and put their best stuff on tape. Because guess what? My AS friend is on the line. And they're calling for other people and other recruits. They're actually going around and saying, let's get consultants to come here. Because Ohio State, they do not fire nobody, and especially not week 2. But they're talking about getting consultants to come in here and give these guys some advice on defense. I don't care who you are. In this particular game, when you got to this particular level, Kerry Combs, being the defensive coordinator, was in the NFL. There's a sense of pride that comes behind that badge.
Oh, yeah.
And they want to make sure that they put their best foot forward. So this next stretch of games, even though, listen, everybody's trying to throw their tickets and give them up for donations, Ohio State should be putting up some of their best tape because they all still have those aspirations to go to the league and do big things.
And the other thing, like you said, when you come to Ohio State, like a lot of guys are looking to go to the league next.
Got to go to the league.
Look to go to the league after their collegiate career. It's like you said, it's a pipeline, DBU. Let's go Bucks. The other thing that I want to bring up, though, is the last time that Ohio State lost an early game like this, they also had another freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
And that was 2014 when they had J.T. Barrett.
What's that?
And they also went on to win the national championship that year.
With 12 gauge, but they definitely
with 12 gauge,
had one of those remarkable seasons where they had to bounce back against Virginia Tech.
They lost to Virginia Tech, and then they came back, and like you said, it puts I felt like this is kind of the better outlook that I'm looking at. It takes pressure off the younger guys. C.J. Stroud being a younger guy, he doesn't have to worry now. Is that first loss going to come up?
Yeah.
Now it's like
Ohio State's.
Now this is. I'll get to you. I want you to follow this. I want to ask you this. So, how with Ohio State not having the spotlight on them now? Yes, you're Ohio State. You're still going to have. 10, You're still going to be top 10. You're still going to be looked at as the representative of Big Ten.
Right.
But now you're looking at Clemson's ahead of us.
Yep.
You've got Oklahoma now, who's in the 3rd spot.
Yep.
You have Georgia now, has a quarterback controversy,
Yep.
by the way, with JT Daniels being hurt.
No, this is Georgia?
This is Georgia, yeah.
I didn't know they had
so
that.
JT Daniels got hurt at the beginning of this past game. Quarterback comes right back in. Doesn't look like they missed a beat.
Yeah.
So part of that, I love seeing some controversy over there down with us, with some teams above us.
Yeah, you got it.
Iowa being a fifth
Big Ten,
seed.
shout out,
That
yeah.
I mean, that looks good, obviously for the Big Ten. I keep looking at these things, and like Iowa, we could play potentially in the Big Ten championship, and that could be. I mean, think about that. If
That could be
Iowa
something
goes
that gets us
undefeated,
in the
now
playoffs.
I do
Yeah.
want to say this. By the way, with Iowa, the last time they were ranked this high was
Right.
2015 when they went 12-0 and they lost in the Big Ten championship to Michigan State.
I
So
remember that.
this is kind of
redemption.
maybe some redemption for
Yeah.
Iowa, maybe some redemption for Ohio State. If you remember 2015, kind of being one of those, it felt like we dropped the ball against Michigan State and then beat the snot out of Michigan and Notre Dame.
That wasn't when. That's when Ezekiel was mad.
Yep, that was when Zeke was mad. He didn't get enough carries. They said that Urban wasn't making the right play call, and
that was big.
I mean, I remember being in the stands for that game, and I sat in the rain for 3.5 hours to watch the Michigan State kicker
Just do his thing.
kick us off and with no time, and then go do the pinwheel with his arm around the. Oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway, the biggest thing that I just want to say about this is I keep looking back, obviously, a little bit of history, a little bit of how this team's going. This offense, I think, like you said, this is going to be the next stretch, 4 or 5 games that we've got coming up. These are going to be some great tune-up games. These are going to be, like you said, this is where you go build your identity. This is where you go and you maybe be like, look, we're 1-1 right now. We just lost to a really good Oregon team. Yeah, shout out to Oregon. I hope you guys go undefeated. I hope we see you in the playoff. I hope we do. I know there's some people in front of us that need to lose. I know there's some things that got to go on, but I keep looking at our schedule, and I think there's going to be some good games that are going to put us above what people are thinking right now.
It needs to be.
And with what I said, I really want to get your feeling on what do you think Ohio State needs to get done in the next couple weeks, but at the same time, what do you think where they're at with the 1-1 being number 9 and having some bigger games coming up on the schedule already? I mean, I hate to say it, the team up north might be ranked when we play them. Like,
Yeah, it need to be.
I mean, we'll take it.
I mean, coming from the same seat, the same cloth, losing against Illinois my junior season and still making it back to the national championship, there's a bunch of different ways that we can actually get back into the driver's seat.
Oh, yeah.
We know that. We still hold our own destiny. But, listen, to be able to have to come from behind and need help, it does not bode well for the identity that I feel like Ohio State is trying to foster. Being the leaders of the Big Ten, being the northern powerhouses, competing with the Alabamas who's been putting year after year, they've been putting some of the best product on film with freshman quarterbacks, with, freshman offensive linemen that just come out there looking like the same guy that's been there for 12 years. Like, how do they produce that? But, I want to ask you a question, Jesse.
Yeah.
When is the last time that Ohio State hasn't been the number one team in college in Ohio and not the number one team as far as in the Big Ten? We got Cincinnati, who's ranked ahead of us.
Yeah, they're ahead of us.
We got Iowa, who's ranked ahead of it.
It's been a while. It's been.
Crazy.
It's.
That right
I mean,
there-
honestly, I might go actually before Urban.
No, I mean,
And
very
that might
much
be
so.
that
I
might
don't-
be
I
with
mean,
Luke Fickell.
I don't remember at any time having Cincinnati. I mean, obviously, you have some good Big Ten teams that might get up in the top 5 in front of us. But when it comes down to Ohio, we normally have that a lot. So shout out to Luke Fickell and what he's over there doing
Shout out
in
to
Cincinnati.
and
But I say that because, we are throwing a lot of stones at these kids because we expect a lot. We expect greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, with this new format of college football, with the fact that we didn't almost have a season last year, there is so much allure and so much just interest at what these guys are doing. I mean, these guys are rolling in the best of cars and eating at the best of restaurants and getting some of the best gifts that they can ever get with this newfound NIL.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. But if we don't go out there and have that same outing, it's not going to be there. And at what expense are you enjoying yourself in college, and you're going to miss the real boat to get to the NFL?
Yeah, and I think some of that is, I think we talked about this with the Minnesota game. I feel like some of this is kind of with is this going to prepare guys money and financially, like, to be prepared for the money that comes in the NFL?
Right.
Because obviously now a lot of these guys they're getting, I mean, like Quinn Ewers, $1.4 million in a truck, and you've got guys going and they've got free food at the best restaurants in town,
don't pay for nothing no more.
and don't pay for anything. And on top of that, you're getting sponsorships, you're getting your stuff.
Which they should, right?
Well deserved. Well deserved.
What does that do for the brand, right? What
does that do? What does that do for the brand? What does that do for what is your focus? What are you focused on? Are you focused on the right things, or are you focused on the little things? I
think now they're definitely going to have that conversation. Yep. I know Haskell Garrett obviously brought up that 2014, how people came back and did what they needed to do and actually lost the game and went back to win a national championship. So I appreciate that avenue. But like you asked and alluded to, Ohio State these next few weeks are going to have to jump that 112 out of that defensive category and get in the top 25 in a hurry and a quick. They need to be able to show dominance. They need to show depth. Everybody, you're going to listen. This Saturday, you're going to see so many guys that you didn't see the first two games. Just because it's like, you know what, it's hunting time. Who is going to come out here and put stuff on tape? Who's going to come out here and take their opportunity and make sure that they leverage it and get more of an opportunity? And, I mean, obviously, we didn't see Teague. We don't know what's going on with Seven Banks. But there's got to be some stars that emerge on this particular roster because, hey, the limelight is yours. And we're hungry as fans. We're thirsty and desire this football to get back on track and to be able to show us the brand of football that we desire in Columbus.
Oh, yeah, and with that said, man, I feel like I'm going to go right to the D-line. I just think because there's so many high recruits at the D-line, we're going to start seeing full line subs. This weekend, we're gonna see the Jack Sawyers, we're gonna see the JT Tuimaluas, we're gonna see all of these guys get a chance. And I think, like you said, who's gonna put the good tape out there about them and is gonna get more reps of those?
It's time.
And like you said, it's time. It's time to see which of the linebackers, the entire defense, who's gonna step up, who's gonna be the guy that says, I'm a silver bullet and I'm gonna prove it and I'm gonna show you against the Golden Hurricanes. Like you said, I'm nervous for the Golden Hurricanes. Here we go. I hope that it is a great Ohio State victory. I really hope that I'm hoping we get above 70. And
almost like a little mice gets put into the snake's cage. That is about how nervous I am for the Golden Hurricanes. I want to see that snake go ahead and hunt its prey down and totally devour it, right? Golden Hurricanes, you're not that good. They're a team like Minnesota. They're a senior-led team. I think they have one sophomore on defense that is playing. I think they have maybe two. They got a bunch of graduate transfers. You guys, listen, y'all played a lot of football, but I think and I hope and I need, and I want to expressly say this, that Ohio State has to put that silver bullet. They have to put that BIA. They have to put all those brands and all those names that we've been built and equipped with to the test. We're losing one of our best players out in the backfield with Proctor, him being out having a gruesome leg injury.
That's huge. He's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that has to emerge and step up.
Yeah.
All that beautiful black stripe thing I didn't have when I was playing. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I think anytime you can recognize and reward somebody, they can go out there and earn it. But now it's just like, let's put the proof to the pudding. Let's go ahead and let's all get it together, defense. Every coach in there, be a band of brothers. Take care of each other. I know everybody's on the hot seat. Ohio State, we're really driven off media these days. We're the number one team on Fox. We get some of the biggest ratings on the Big Ten Network when we play on that. There's a lot of things going on. Even the fact that next week, 7:30 Akron game. I mean, come on now.
Prime time, my guy.
They're thirsty
Prime
for this
time.
Ohio brand of football.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we do right the ship, but I need the learning curve to go up. Like, again, nothing against Stroud. they're asking for the mullet. They're asking for him to come in. But at the end of the day, he's been playing some for-real games, 1 interception each game. You can't knock his hustle. But
I mean,
we need growth. We need you to see those check downs on a 2nd and 10.
Yep.
We need you to go ahead sometime and pull that ball on that run play option. I know you're little, but let's learn how to slide. We got to make sure that we open up those gaps. We make sure those defensive ends have to go ahead and play out in space. And we just give our offensive line a little bit more space to go ahead and maneuver.
Now, I do want to say this because I just thought about this when you brought up, like, let's see you run the ball a little bit. This feels so familiar to Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And now, granted, obviously the difference between Justin Fields and C.J. Stroud is Justin Fields went 11-0.
And he was almost a junior.
Won the Big Ten championship. Went into the college football playoff as a freshman and lost by 1 play to a Clemson team. Personally, I thought the refs took that from us. Neither here nor there. But with that being said, like, C.J. Stroud can run. Like, last year he had 1 carry for 45 yards, and he took it to the house.
Where's it at, though?
Where's it at?
That's what,
and we need to see it. Honestly, I keep going back to last week and Oregon's defense, and even with their 2 guys out, they've got some dudes on that defensive side.
I agree.
But we need to see it. We need to see that running ability. We need him to not be so one guy focused. We don't need to just be Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Like, find your running back. Find your little check down. I mean, if the hole's there, take it. Maybe get 5 yards and slide, man. We don't need you to get 30 yards or a touchdown right this second. But I will say this. The last 2 touchdown drives for Ohio State over the weekend took 2 minutes and 15 seconds and 2 minutes and 8 seconds.
That's quick.
So that's quick. All right. This team can score. I think we're a young team like we've talked about all night. I definitely think we need some games like this to really know our identity. Understand who we are as a Ohio State defense as well as an offense and special teams. We need to know who our kicker is, man. I mean, our first week, I think we only had just PATs and 1 field goal. I think it was like a 25, 35-yard field goal that was made, and then nothing other than PATs. Why can't we have a 4th and 7 in the first drive to get that big-time kick? See that big-time kick in those moments. But we can't change a pass. All we can do is go in, beat the living snot out of Tulsa, and keep going. I got to ask you, man.
Talk to me.
What is your biggest thing for this game this weekend? What is the biggest thing you want to see?
Again, I'm not going to mix no bones about it. Like, I want complete dominance from the defensive line. Me being a defensive line guy, that's what you're going to get from me every time you listen to me. I expect those guys, especially coached and led by Larry Johnson, to go out there and know their assignment and execute it to a T. Oregon, again, we're talking about them, but they did things that was not on film. They put pressure on the defensive ends by running a blocker at them, then running them around, and they did a lot of great things on tape. Tulsa, you're not going to get that. You're going to get some right down the hill. You're going to get a little bit more of vanilla off. You're not going to get that on the edge type of speed. So we need to see how we're taking on these double teams, making sure that we are exerting our will. We're getting off blocks. And, again, every game you should have a sack in that particular room.
Yeah.
We did it, and we have far less athletes, even though we got a Ironhead Hayward, who's one of the highest paid 30-year-olds in the league.
That man earned his money. Shout out, earning his money over the week.
Our room, they don't have those guys. We don't have the Mick Mariotti. We didn't have the same program that they have right now. So we expect so much out of the Ohio State University. So I first want the defense to get back on track, and then I'm going to play the same advocate for the offense, and I need to see a 280-yard rushing by those running backs. We got running back by committee. I don't know why Teague didn't play. I just feel like the offensive line didn't really have a lot of push, and the times they did have the push, the 3 or 4 yards just didn't seem like much, and we needed to pass it because we were behind. So I need both lines. I need the trenches to exert their wills. I need them to go out there and dominate. I mean, Tulsa just lost to an FCS school, UC Davis.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, don't get me wrong. Everybody's playing some football, and we respect everybody. But we need to show Ohio State brand and go ahead and dominate early and often. And like you said, C.J. Stroud, he should be done by the beginning of the fourth quarter. Bring some new bodies in. Let's learn some new names, and let's keep this train rolling.
Yeah, and I mean, well said. Well said. The biggest thing, I want to see some tackles for loss. We had one tackle for loss the entire Oregon game. I want to see some tackles for loss. I want to see some sacks. We had no sacks like we talked about. Come on, man. Like
they didn't give us much options, but
we are. I understand they didn't give us much option with the RPOs. It's hard. It's not something. I mean, yeah, they threw the ball, but like we said, they were getting the ball out quick. This was not something that was really set up to where they're going to drop back, they're going to sit there for a few seconds and give you time to get at them.
Right.
The big thing, I want to see some turnovers. I want to see the big play turnover that we saw against the Minnesota game when we had Haskell Garrett take it 30-plus yards. Man, looking like a running back out there with the ball. And, yeah, moving well, moving fast, moving great.
Jerome Bettis, maybe. Jerome
I'll take it. I'll take that. I'll take the bus. I'll take the bus. And I just want to see that silver bullet dominance that you talked about, that Buckeye brand that just freight trains you. And offensively, I want to see C.J. Stroud do a couple checkdowns. When he had a checkdown against Minnesota, you saw Trayvon Henderson take it to the house.
He did.
So I mean, that's why I feel like sometimes felt like that game we never had the lead.
Right.
We were the best we had was a 7-7 tie. That was the best we had. And with C.J. Stroud, I think he was forcing it because he wanted to get that big play done quickly. But when he's not and he's moving it around and just going to who's open, like I said, we had a 2-minute 8 drive, a 2-minute 15 drive, all back to back. It's efficient and he get it done. I want to see him have an efficient game. I obviously want to see him have a amazing high yardage, multiple touchdowns, no picks, maybe even a rushing touchdown, some rushing yards. I want to see him kind of do a little bit of everything and be out. Let's see some of those backup quarterbacks. Let's see some of these other younger, some of these Marvin Harrison Jr. I want to see some of these other wideouts. I want to see. I'm not saying we need. Now I feel like over 2 weeks we've seen Mayan Williams, we've seen Trayvon Henderson, we know Master Teague and who they are in the running back room.
We do.
So let's see him work. Let's see him work. And I want to see some of these younger recruits that are out there. Like you said, the whole defense, I feel like we're fighting for playing time. It's all on a hunt right now. Who is going to make the big plays when we need it, and who's going to come ready to play?
I don't know any of the linebackers' names. I was really trying to figure out one of those. I know Al Washington.
You got
what's number 3?
Mitchell. That's Mitchell. He's a senior. He's the most experienced.
He showed up. I like 17, the way that he was trying to scrape eventually. It still didn't work.
Was it 44 is Hickson?
So you're better than
Ronnie Hickson. And, I mean, he's a young guy. I think he's a sophomore.
I want to know their names by the end of tomorrow. I want guys make it. I want to hear their names in the stadium.
Yes.
I remember when I was playing as a freshman and I was on the sideline and I was being the R2 button and I was waving a flag and just getting the crowd going. I was hearing Hawk and the whole crowd scream that man's name. Then I got to play with the little animal itself, James Laurinaitis.
Threes.
And I mean, there were body on bodies, and you knew that they were making plays just off the fans. If you went to the bathroom, you still heard the Hawks, you heard the Knightises, you heard that energy throughout the stadium. I think we need to see an emergence of somebody on Saturday. I think we will. Let me ask you this question. I'm going to go with the senior version of the two-headed monster, even though he doesn't have any running backs. I like the Shamari Brooks for the Tulsa.
Okay.
I don't think they have too much of a passing game. I don't think they can do it on our defensive backs, even though we're a little bit beaten up. I like 29 last week. I think he emerged. But I like
Burke looking great.
He looked great.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think they pass. I think Shamari Brooks, with the way that he kind of is more of a bowling ball, the way that he runs downhill for Tulsa, I think he has about 5-point-something yards per carry.
Yeah, 5.3. He's got 108.
I think that if we don't play the way that if we played like last week and Ohio State defense beats Ohio State defense, I see my guy coming in the shoe and having an all-time high game. Those 3:30 games bring out the best in some because they get a chance to wake up, they get a chance to eat, they get a chance to look at a little bit of college football and relax. They don't have to go in there high noon in a horseshoe. It helps our opposing teams.
Yeah. I'm with you. I definitely think somebody's got to make a name this weekend.
Yes.
Somebody's got to make a name. I'm gonna personally, I think I'm gonna pick two. One for my offense, one defense. Defensively, I called him out last week. I want to see Ransom. He's number 12.
Yeah.
I want to see him. He's a
that big hit,
safety.
right, against
He's a
Minnesota.
safety. So, I mean, he's going to have to fill in for Proctor. Like, we're going to have some guys step up. He had the big hit against Minnesota, which ended up being a fumble, and then that turned into a touchdown.
Big time.
Huge.
That was the turnovers, right?
Huge. Yeah. And so if I can see something big from Ransom on the defensive side, I want to see I haven't seen a DB. The only guy that I've been thinking of more, honestly, has been Burke, who I think is in the top 5 with passes deflected.
No,
Going into last week, he had
like
3, and he was tied for 3rd in the nation. By the way, in the nation. This isn't in the Big Ten or a little bit bigger wider spread.
That works.
And I know immediately right off rip he had a pass deflected, so I know he's at least got 4. I believe he's in the top 5. I think he's got 5. I want to say he's got 5.
And he's what year is he?
Freshman, freshman.
I like that.
He's gonna be a stud. I hope he has. I almost want to call his number out for this weekend, but I'm gonna go with Ransom. I feel something with him at safety. I think he's gonna have some stuff going. That's what I got on D. Offensively, I could probably name any skills position just to go off, but I want to see not Ruckert. You know what? I'm just gonna go with C.J. Stroud. I'm contemplating on this. It's hard on the offensive side, but
listen,
that's
the good manifestation. That's the good person to pick because that is very, very important for our success.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, it's not that I want to see C.J. Stroud. The man had over 484 yards against Oregon. I'm not saying that he was the guy that lost it, but I'm not saying he had a perfect game.
Right. You want to see him grow.
I want to see him go better. I want to see him, like I said, I'm sitting in C-deck like 400-some rows behind the field, and I can tell that you're not even looking down at a running back 5 yards from you.
That's deep.
Like,
you got a bird's eye view.
I did.
Yeah,
And I just want to say, I just want to see him make the right play.
Right.
I don't want to see him forcing things. Now, like we said, he was playing a big game, first home game. You don't ever want to lose your first home game, especially as your second career start. You always want to come out there, and you want to dominate. And I think Ryan Day was very aggressive, as he's been known to be. As he's been known to be. This is not something that is new. So I think for some of the calls, I definitely question the 4th and 7 on the first drive. But if that turns into a touchdown, do you really question it?
I still question it a little bit, but I really question it when it doesn't happen.
When it doesn't happen,
question with an exclamation point.
But, so for you, man, I'm going Ransom on the defensive side. I'm going Stroud on the offensive side. Who do you think need to be the 2 guys that show up this weekend?
Great picks. I love the fact that you brought up Ward. I think we were kind of consensus. I know he's an underclassman. Every time you tell me a freshman, I'm like, wow, his upside is tremendous, and that's what we need with, again, a Proctor going down. I'm going to go with the fact that I love him. I worked him out. I coached him a little bit. Shout out to Chuck Gresham. But I'm going to go with the freak, the person that I feel is still going to have one of the legendary season at Ohio State, and that's Zach Harrison.
Still early. It's still early, too.
Yeah, this is only the second game of the season. So now going into the third, let's see if we can tee off. Let's see if we have some dominant games, some dominant quarters, some dominant moments. Definitely going to go with Zach along with my 5th-year senior, Haskell Garrett. I'm going to always kind of have one of those nudges for those guys because I know them a little bit more intimately, a little bit more personal.
It's a little biased.
Again, I need that. I know that a good team has the trenches intact. You got to have iron sharpens iron. So with that being said, with the Haskell Garrett, I want to see the big block O, Thayer Mumford come down and wreak havoc and make sure that he goes up to the second level and he shows his range as a guard. Because guess what? He has to prove and put new film out there because he's not playing tackle anymore. Also, I'll give a little bit double. I just want the kid from Cincinnati to shine. Last week, again, he came out, he played hard. He's a double-head monster. But let Mayan kind of really come into his own. Let's see if he can get one of those, 22, 25 carries, and let's see what he do with those carries. We need to prime some of our players up for those bigger games when we have Penn State. when we have the Michigan State, when
Well
we have
said.
obviously
Yes.
the team up
Yeah,
north.
that's
we
great.
have to make
That's
sure
great.
that not only are they hungry and able, but we know what they can do, and they know what they can do. So when they go out there, they can have that confidence, and they can hit those big plays the way that we know that they can. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for I'm excited for the massacre. Again, I said this is like putting that little beautiful little cute little white mouse in that big old that big old pythons. I want to see
that big silver python.
I
right?
want to see them go ahead and exert their will and get back on track, because a game like Tulsa, their quarterback having no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, running backs by committee, I think they have 2 or 3. One of them doesn't have no touch, so they don't have a lot. But guess what? Our defense is 112, and I'm not talking about the R&B group. They are almost
national.
They're in the last tier. When we had to look through online, we had to go to the last page.
We did.
For Ohio State,
And that was by 50. Each page was 50. So like the first, you're saying immediately, wait, Ohio State's out of the top 50.
Out of the 100, yeah.
Top 50, like
right.
I mean, like you said, like we're trying to be in Alabama. We're trying to be this dominant, top tier
Consistent,
team that is
yes.
there every single year, and it's turned into. It feels like a little bit of a joke with the media at times. It's like it's almost like every year. Is Ohio State at that level? Are they elite?
Are they supposed to be?
Are they? I mean, obviously, we already know that it's like they typically, winning 3 Big Ten in a row, 4 Big Ten championships in a row now. Like, it's kind of a little lull now.
Lull.
And obviously, Ryan Day has never lost a Big Ten game, including the championships. It's
a lot of pressure.
clutch. It's pressure, but it's also being confident and knowing that he gets it done. He's not going to have the little games that he lost. I mean, that's only the 3rd loss he's ever had with that Oregon game.
Yeah.
So I mean, saying that he's lost to Bama, Clemson, and Oregon. I mean, and Oregon's top 4. I don't want to say that Oregon's just going to fall off or anything, but I definitely see Oregon as they are a very good team. This is something that I think some people calling for Ryan Day's job this week. That's a little far fetched, personally. I'm like, there's two. Right. It's early. It's early. I'm gonna let's get into our predictions here for the game, and then we'll probably do some last words and we'll be out of here.
Well, we got now the spread went from 26.5. Now it's down to 22.
Yeah, you said 22. So
are you giving them
the over or the under on this? Like we've said, I think there's an identity that's going to come out this weekend from Ohio State. I think it's going to be a dominant showing. I don't think Ryan Day like doesn't have these guys prepared. I think he's going to have them motivated, ready to go. I don't think they're going to be watching much media about who they are and who Tulsa is. I think it's going to be. Did you guys see what you did last week to Oregon?
Well said.
Did you guys see how many yards that you guys gave up on the rush?
Me versus me.
How many yards that we had more than Oregon? How many? It was 31 to 27 first downs. Ohio State. We had the better possession. Like everything kind of pointed to us. Turnover game. That was all Oregon. They had 0. We had 1.
Right.
I think Ryan Day has them ready to go. I think personally this is going to be 63-7, 63-14.
63-14.
I want a big game out of the offense, and I want the defense to come out and show what this defense is.
You know what? I'm going to play the devil's advocate on this one because why? If I lose, I win. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say it's a little bit closer. I'm going to say we do not get the spread of 22.5.
Going under on this one.
I say Ohio State 40.
Okay.
And I say Tulsa somehow squeeze out 24 points.
Man.
I say we still beat them convincingly. I don't think we ever are down, but I do think that we throw a little bit more throw up on tape. We get some rotation in. We play really dominant. Then we put some young guys in, and we do make another mistake. And it is closer than it seems at the final score. I think they get a moral victory, Tulsa coming out of here, out of the shoe. And we still get to the next week with a little bit of proving to do. And I say all that because I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And I need to be wrong because the dominance is needed. But I'm not going to just think that they're going to have the whole thing together. And I feel like even Tulsa is going to have a couple wrinkles to throw at Ohio State to make sure that they even, get some points and get them early. And I'm not intimidated if I'm Tulsa. If I look on that film and I seen what, Minnesota was doing at times, and then when I really see what Oregon was doing, I get a little bit of confidence. Like, hey, we did lose to an FCS school, UC Davis.
They're a running team.
They're like the Terriers or something,
team,
the Dogs, whatever they are. But we did lose to a Big Sky team. But listen, we're going to give the Big Ten team, a run for their money, and we're going to go out there and we don't have nothing to lose. And we're going to go out there and we're going to throw some smoke at them. So, again, I think it's about a 40 to about 24 game. I think we still win, but we still get some work to do. And, again, I think the fans at Ohio State, they still ask for people's heads. And I hope I'm wrong, but, we'll see.
I mean, we'll see. I definitely hope you're wrong as well.
Right.
I definitely think personally my mindset is, are you motivated to play at Ohio State? Are you motivated to play in front of 100,000+ people and put on a show? Like these are the games that you obviously go to get things worked out. Figure out, throw a couple things that maybe you've been working on that you haven't been doing well, get some confidence with it and go. I want to see the running backs. I want to see Mayan, like you said. I want to see Mayan. I want to see Trayvon Henderson. I want to see Master T get some yards. I want to see one of these guys just go off. I thought after Minnesota that was Mayan. Maybe it's Trayvon. I don't know. Obviously, I think Ohio State thinks it's one of those two. With Master Teague not having any part last week, which is kind of shocking. But at the same time, I think maybe those two at practices, maybe they just have that big play that just comes. It just happens. You can see it in them. I mean, Trayvon Henderson against that Minnesota game, you could tell.
Yeah, phenomenal.
It's there.
Yeah, phenomenal.
It's there. He can make some stuff happen.
What's up?
But
so it's definitely going to be interesting. Before we get on the show, a couple more just great things to watch. Obviously, we had the first week of the NFL back.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes shining.
Saw Cam Hayward shining well against Buffalo.
Yeah, I love Buffalo, but I love Pittsburgh a little bit more because they gave me my first little bit of dollars, first little bit of opportunity, and they cut me first. But what doesn't kill you make you stronger.
It's got to be a tough game there with a hometown and
I was kind of rooting for both teams. Yeah. Whatever happened. Yeah. They gave a good game. Cameron played well. I watched the guys last night, Thursday night game. You had Scary Terry looking amazing. He's almost $100 million, almost locked for the bag.
He looks like he looks like he could be the next best wide receiver in the league.
Definitely can.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Was a backup quarterback too.
Right.
So I mean,
you got Mike Thomas, who already just got a bag. He just acquired a bag. He's like top 3 wide receiver.
Yep.
And then you got another guy, Scary Terry. That's why wide receiver Brian Hartline has put some great guys out there.
Oh yeah.
Even though Brian Hartline wasn't a Mike Thomas product, but you know what I mean. Who else we got there? We got.
I mean, you got to go.
Bosa.
Both Bosas. You got to have the Bosas.
They played well. I don't know their stats, but I know that they
I mean, you had the Minnesota.
Cincinnati game.
With Joe Burrow. I'm still giving it to him. I mean, even if you don't, you give him the LSU nod. He's still from Athens.
Then we got the captain. We got Hubbard.
Hubbard had a good game. Yeah, Hubbard had a really good game. Yeah, he had a couple tackles for loss. He looked pretty good. I also want to bring in Billy Price, and that which kind of intriguing. Well, no, he played.
Billy Price played for.
Well, he played for the Bengals, and they got traded to Minnesota. So it was kind of intriguing to have that matchup. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Which I think he's with Pat Elfline. Shout out to a fellow Pick North alum right there.
There you go.
Pat Elfline, another. I think he's actually with the Jets. I take that back. He's with the Jets.
Good deal.
Over there.
A lot of Buckeyes in the league.
A lot of Buckeyes. 50.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, only Alabama's got 53 in the league. So
that's why we gotta be better than Alabama.
I know. We keep talking about it, and
you don't supposed to do that in life. You don't supposed to look at you supposed to look in the mirror. But when it comes down to your sports teams, you got to go ahead and just look at the creme of the creme, and they have been consistent. And I can't stand Bama. It's so boring down
there. I hate it.
What do they have in Tuscaloosa? Maybe that's a good thing. The fact that they don't have anything.
They just got nothing.
Maybe we have some more distractions, and the NIL's a little bit more, even though they got $1 million contracts too. But sheesh. What else we got for this pro and Joe's?
I mean, for the pro and Joe's here, man, I'm pretty good. I'm ready for tomorrow. I am going to be at the game. I think
I might be too.
I'm going with my mom again. I know nobody wants. they
They're
don't.
giving them away.
They are.
But listen, I'm true to these Buckeyes, and again, I think we can still find ourselves.
Well, I mean, we're still going to
good
be here
place,
every
man.
week, man.
Every week.
I'm not. We're not going anywhere. I just want to shout out to Ground Sounds
Shout out to Ground Sounds.
for letting us use the
Hey,
studio.
Little John, man, where you at, man? You
Hey,
wanna come
Little
out
John,
here?
where's John?
Where's Little John at? John out
John's
here?
in here. He's giving the switcher. He's going to come
He's
out
giving the
here.
switch. He's on the board.
Let's get a shout
On
out
the ones
to
and
John
twos.
here for helping us out. Come say hello to the people. You don't want to be too awkward. No, this is a guy that was helping us out with the switching tonight. So hey, this is
the vision, man.
this is our
You pitching
guy.
the vision.
Hey,
Switching away.
doing the stuff, man.
Clicking
Doing the
away,
stuff.
making it go back and forth.
He's ready to go.
Good
Hey,
job.
we're just appreciative to be able to use the space and
Yeah, man.
thankful
This is
for Ground
Ground
Sounds Bearing Media, guys. And hey, if
Big
anybody,
John,
if you're looking
Jesse,
for a sponsorship or
Coach
anything like
Freshington.
that, we are looking for people to sponsor.
All the way
We will
around.
put your banner right back here.
Oh, some
We
bread.
just want you to know, hey, come talk to us. We'll figure
Holla
some
at your
stuff out,
boy.
and we'll always rep your merch and get some stuff out for you. Let us know. We're always looking.
Hey, me around, man. This is the Pro. This is the Joe. This is the podcast. This is a great time at Bear Meeting. We got our guy John over there. John, say what's up. He's shouting out again, and this is a great show.
Having a
Buckeye
great
football,
time,
we're
man.
back. Let's have fun.
Let's
Go
get it.
Bucks. God bless.
Go Bucks. We'll see y'all next week.
There we go. Drop the mic.
I think that was good, man.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It was fun, man. It was always fun.
Good times. We're having some good conversation.